What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with camera tips and tricks for the OnePlus Nord N30 5G. So stay tuned if you want to learn how to get the most of the various cameras on your phone. Now with the OnePlus Nord N30 5G, we're getting quite a few different cameras here, along with a lot of different abilities. And that's especially impressive considering that this is meant to be a more affordable entry-level device. Now before I show you what all you can do with the various cameras here on the phone, let's go over what we're actually getting here. Now the first thing is, there's a 16 megapixel front-facing camera, and then on the back of the phone, we have a triple camera setup with a 108 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. Now this phone does support portrait mode for both the rear and front-facing cameras, so if you are a big fan of that feature, then just know that you are getting that here. Now in the camera app itself, there's quite a bit going on. This is with the main rear camera right now. Now you can see in the bottom left corner here, that is the button for Google Lens. So we'll give that a try right now. And if you've never used Google Lens, that is one of my favorite features, and it really is genuinely useful. So basically what you can do is, you can take a photo of an object, and it'll search for that object. So right now it's searching for the plant, and you can see that it shows you images of the plant, some descriptions as well, and then also where you can buy that plant or similar ones to it. So you can see many of these different options here aren't exactly the same as this one, but they are very similar. So it is a really useful feature. Then in the bottom right corner, you'll see this icon, and if we go there, there's an option for retouch, basically just kind of smooths things out a little bit, and then also filters. So you can choose from a variety of different filters here, which can potentially change up your photos to a certain way that you might prefer. Now with the OnePlus Nord N30 5G, there is no optical zoom because there is no telephoto camera here with this device, but there is a button here for 3x zoom, and it actually does work pretty well. And the reason for that is, it basically takes the main 108 megapixel camera and then crops in, but since the megapixel count is so high, you really don't notice that it's actually a crop here. So if you're wondering why the phone even needed a 108 megapixel camera, that's the main reason why. Now on this bottom slider, there's quite a few different options. On the left side here, there's night mode. So clearly that works best in lower light situations. You can also go to video, but I'll go over to that in a second. But also there's portrait mode. So with portrait mode, you can get those nice blurred out backgrounds. And this button on the bottom left corner here does allow you to adjust the amount of blur. So if you want more blur, you can do that. Or less blur, you can also make that customization. And then you also get the same thing for the front-facing camera. So you can there easily take portrait selfies here with the phone. We can then go over to the More tab here for a lot of other options. So you can see there's Pro mode. And in Pro mode, you can adjust white balance, ISO, and a lot of other things here. So that might be helpful to you. There's also Extra HD. So if you go to that mode, it's going to capture images in that full 108 megapixels. Now by default, the phone actually doesn't capture images in that megapixel count because that will take up a lot of extra space on the phone. But basically in this mode, it really brings the most out of the main camera. There's also Pano, also Macro. So I'll go to Macro here. And with that, you can get very close up and have things be in really good detail. So that's helpful. Also over here, there's slow motion, time lapse, dual view video. So that's pretty cool. You can take video with both the front and rear cameras at the same time. So there's me right there. You can also go right here to select the arrangement. So if you want just a small bubble, which would be the front-facing camera in this situation, you can do that. You can also flip around and do it the other way around too. So that's pretty cool. And then also you can do a rectangle instead. And then there's also text scanner. Now, if you want to take any of these options here and put them in the main slider down below, you can actually go to this pen icon in the upper right corner, and then you can pick any of these and then drop them down in this main slider. So you can see I just put macro in there. I'm going to go to done, and then now macro is easily accessible. Now if you want to remove some of these, unfortunately or fortunately, you can't remove video or photo, but you can remove night mode or portrait mode and stick them back in this More tab. So that's cool that you can pretty much customize things on this camera app to be exactly the way you want them to be. Now there's a lot of different options up top here. Now starting off, we have the option for the flash. So you can have flash be off, on, auto, or have it on at all times. So basically you'll have a flashlight going when you're capturing your images. There's also a timer here, so you can do 0, 3, or 10 seconds. There's also an option for AI. So basically with this, it will kind of figure out what you're taking a photo of and then better optimize the final image to reflect upon that. You can also go up here to the aspect ratio. So you can do 4:3, which is the default. You can do 1:1, which is square. That might be good for Instagram. There's also 16:9, which is great for video thumbnails. And then there is the full view of the phone. And then heading over to video, there are some other options up above here, really just two of them. Now, the first one is for the flash. You can have the flash on at all times when you're recording a video, which could be helpful. And then also you can pick the video recording resolution. So 1080p is the default, but you can also do 720p. And then I almost forgot to show you in this main photo area, you can go to this option up here, and over here you can see an option for high res, which again captures images in that full 108 megapixels. And then also there's an option for HDR. You can have that be on auto or off. But let's go here for additional settings. And once over here, you can see that there's many others to choose from. Now the first one is watermark. So if you want to add a watermark to the corners of your photo, you can enable that. Now you can add an actual watermark of your own from your photos as well to have be on the watermark itself. You can also customize what's down below in that watermark. So if you want it to say shot on OnePlus, you can do that, or you can not have that potentially, although you have to choose another one instead. So you can do the location, date and time, and you can disable certain ones if you want to. So that's really awesome. And then you can also add in your name. There's also grid and guides. So if you enable that, you can pick certain guides. So you can do the regular grid. So the rule of thirds basically. So we have 9 rectangles here. You can also do diagonal lines if you want to. So we'll take a look at that. That's kind of interesting. Not really sure what that's used for. And then there's also an option for golden spiral. So that's kind of cool as well. So some of those might be useful, or maybe none of them are to you. It really depends, but at least you now know that they're here. There's also a level. So if you want all of your images to be level, you can enable that as well. And you can see the level there in the middle. You can also see that shutter sound is enabled by default. If you don't want the phone to make a sound when capturing an image or a video, you can disable that. Mirror selfie, basically this saves selfies as they appear in the viewfinder. You're gonna wanna have that enabled, so keep it like that. And then location tags, it's kind of optional, depends on if that's helpful to you. And then preserve settings, so if you go there, basically you can pick certain settings to already be enabled anytime you open up the camera app. So for example, if you want to start the camera in the shooting mode last used, for example, portrait mode or maybe video mode, you can enable that. And then these are enabled by default. So pro mode settings and creative settings, but basically if you have certain filters that you previously used, those will be already enabled every time you open up the camera app. And then your various pro settings that you might have adjusted will also be there every time that you open up the camera app here on the phone. We also have shooting methods. So there's a few good ones here. So the first one is tap to capture. So you can tap anywhere in the viewfinder to take a photo. So I'm going to try that. There we go. Works very well. We'll go back over to here and try out show palm. So basically if you show your palm, the phone will take a photo. So I'm gonna try that. Kind of hard to do here with there we go. There we go, that worked really well. There's also an option here for high efficiency video. So record videos in the high efficiency video format. And sometimes you won't get quite as much compatibility with that video file itself, but in return for that, the video will take up less space on your device. Now you can pick what you want the volume buttons to do. So by default, the volume button serves as the shutter button. So if you do volume up or volume down, it'll capture a photo or a video, but if you don't want it to do that and you want to do something else instead, you can have it act as either the regular volume or the zoom. So for example, volume up will zoom in, volume down will zoom out. So that's pretty intuitive. And then we have another cool option here called quick launch. So double press either volume button to launch the camera when the screen's off. So let's try that. There we go, it pulled up the camera app. And then another awesome quick way to get to the camera app is just by double pressing on the power button. And this is already enabled by default. So let's try that. There we go, it pulls up the camera. But this concludes my video on camera tips and tricks for the OnePlus Nord N30 5G. I hope you learned something new today and are able to get the most out of the various cameras on your phone. And if you liked the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.